Welcome to the Launch Your Live podcast, a show dedicated to providing you with daily, top-level live video tips, tricks, and strategies to not only help you start, but also excel at live streaming. Here are your hosts, Christian Karashevitz and Jim Fuse.
On this episode of Launch Your Live, we're going to share tips to help you organize your live stream studio for a much smoother production. So if you're listening to the podcast, this is episode 65 on how to organize your live stream studio. We are also currently broadcasting over to Amazon Live. And so I want to go and bring myself on screen and just say a quick hello. Hey everyone, how you doing? We're going to be talking about how to organize your live streams, or at least, how to organize your studio. And we've got some great items that we want to share with you. Sorry for the delay. We ran into a couple of technical issues. And obviously, when you're streaming or trying to record a podcast, you want to make sure you get the best possible audio that you can. And so we had to work through that. So sorry about our delay there. But I'm going to go and bring on my co-host for this Amazon Live show. And this is Marco Novo. Marco, it's great having you back for another episode over on Amazon Live. How you doing?
I'm doing good after some challenges with the sound.
We did, yes.
Yeah. Life being life.
Exactly, right? And so, today we want to talk about items to help you organize your live stream studio. I know, if somebody has a messy office, the environment, it can actually have a negative impact on your live streams. And, not only does it make, producing a show, it's already stressful to produce a live stream show. There's always a small element of stress, but having that clutter around your live stream studio, it can lead to mistakes. So for example, maybe you miss a cue when you want to bring something in. It can also lead to broken equipment if you're having to fumble around for things and you got cables all over the place. Now, in addition to that though, I think also we should, highlight that if you get cables, for example, and your office is very disorganized, if you have cables and they're running over one another and they're not good quality, for example, you actually can end up with feedback on your live streams. And this is feedback that, as you and I both have said before, Marco, audio is the most important part of a live stream. And so if you have that feedback, it can be very irritating and annoying for your listeners. Isn't that right?
Absolutely. And it's, for instance, this will ruin the possibilities you had to repurpose the content.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and I want to talk about something which is really important, and it happened to me.
Yeah.
Because one of the important things when we are doing lives are the share. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I want to share something about my, two things about my share. One, before the show started, I have some kind of issue with this share precisely. And the very next moment I finished the share, the show, oh my God, this share broke. Split it. So it was awkward. And the other thing I had with other share, I have I don't know how to call it, that feet, that foot you have in the share. It was broke. So I started my show here and I finished my show like this. So, yes. So, and because it is sometimes live shows are long, you need to be comfortable. The share is for sure something that is also important.
Definitely, yeah. I want to just thank all of our viewers. By the way, we've got thanks for tuning
in. Jimmy.
Jimmy, yeah. So thanks for tuning in, Jimmy. Really excited to have you join us. Yeah, and to Marco's point, he was talking about his chair, and an office chair is a very. It may not seem like it's important, like I'll just use a dining room chair or something like that, but having a proper chair is absolutely key for your live streams. Because, well, for starters, like you want to make sure that you are organized and you are comfortable. So, when you're comfortable on your live streams, I think it's going to also make your guests be more comfortable. So if you're interviewing somebody, it'll make them feel more relaxed. For example, if you're concerned about the chair maybe breaking during a live stream, might be time to invest in a new chair. And you also have to think about the amount of time that you're going to spend sitting in that position. You want to make sure you are in a position where, you're feeling comfortable. So, obviously organization, it's key, but you want to make sure you also don't have broken equipment as well, or equipment that is close to breaking. So Marco, I want you to do me a favor. Like you tell me where you want to start in terms of like what's important when organizing your studio for your live streams.
Well, maybe we are talking about chairs. Do you want to talk about this one? Okay, I think this could be a nice starting point, because, and we should have in mind as well that most of the times we spend lots of times seated in front of the computer.
Yeah. You got to have a chair, right? So you got to have a chair. You don't just want a dining room chair, right? So tell us about this chair, Marco. What is this chair?
Well, this is, first of all, it's a very affordable chair. It's on a deal, which is good. Okay. And something important I want to highlight in this chair is the back, because when you have that solid back, it's not mesh. Yeah. It's a problem because your back won't breathe. Usually those materials will go away faster. So mesh, it's a good option because it allows you to your back to breathe. Yeah. So even though it's not this chair, I recommend that you buy a chair with mesh. There's something I need to do soon. A mesh
chair,
back chair.
Yeah.
Yes.
Definitely. By the way, our listener, our viewer Jimmy, he said your audio sounds like you're in a barrel, maybe. I'm not sure. I know we switched your mic out because we're having some challenges there, but
okay.
I just wanted to let you know about that. You're absolutely right though. When you're buying a chair, so in terms of like this kind of chair, so there's a couple things you want to keep in mind. So for starters, you're going to be sitting in this chair for quite a long time. So, if you get something that is just a mesh bottom, for example, it's going to support you, but then over time, the more you're sitting in just the mesh, the more that it's going to actually pull, it's going to potentially rip. And then at that point, you got to replace pretty much the whole chair unless you buy a more expensive type of chair. So I'd always recommend if you're going to, if you want to start with a good base literally for your live stream, get yourself a good office chair, get one that has standard foam, or if you like the memory foam, that's super important. The other thing, because it relieves a lot of the pressure of you sitting on the chair. So Absolutely. For starters, if you're comfortable, then it's going to make it easier to produce a live stream. You're going to be more apt to want to actually produce a live stream. Another thing though, that's really important, by the way, about chairs is making sure you get one that, is adjustable. So we're not just talking about chairs that are like just go up and down. For example, there's other parts to a chair that you want to focus on. So for example, you want to make sure that there's lumbar support, for example. So if you happen to have, a bad back, for example, you want to make sure you have a chair that can support that and help you. Now, in addition to that, you want to also make sure that you are focusing on having like height adjustable arms, for example. So not just, it goes up and down, but you want it to go up and down. You want it to go forward and backward as well, because, if your hands are or your arms are sitting at a certain degree, over time, it's going to be very uncomfortable being in that chair. So you got to start with a solid base. And that's where I'd recommend, having a chair. So for example, I like this one Marco brought up. How much is this chair, by the way, Marco?
$80.
$80, yeah. So start with a good chair for your live streams. Fantastic. Okay. So now somebody that goes and they get their chair. What's next, Marco? How else do I need to make it? How do I need to help organize my home studio?
Okay. I skip it with a desk. It should be also an important thing.
Yeah, you definitely got to have a desk, right? Desks are important. I would say this. I mean, you don't have to break the bank on a desk, but you want to get something that is that's a good desk. For example, I prefer. I really like the idea of using an adjustable desk. So, for example, a standing desk. Those are ideal. Let me actually pull up. There's a couple. There's quite a few. For example, I really like. Let me see which one I like. I actually really like the Vivo Electric Height Adjustable Desk. This is about $270. I'm going to go ahead and highlight that here in the carousel for everybody. But you want to make sure you get a desk that is height adjustable. For example, I've got one right now, and I can actually just push a button, for example, and it will go down. And then if I want to raise it up, just simply, hold the button and move it up. And then what I'm doing is I'm actually going to, this is my command station. So basically everything's on my desk. And then what I'm going to make sure I do off of that is make sure that my chair and my desk kind of work together. So for example, if I raise the desk, I want to make sure that my chair also works so that I'm in frame for my live streams. So I definitely would start there in terms of having a good base to work off of. And as Jimmy mentioned, not a wobbly desk. Like you don't want a desk that, for starters, wobbles because, you're putting expensive equipment on there, especially live streaming equipment, and you don't want it to fall. So this is a very good desk. And as you can see, this looks like a pretty minimal desk. There's not a whole lot of other stuff on it. But, that's the thing I'd always recommend if you're going to, if you're in an environment that is comfortable to work in, it makes it easier for you to work. So, for example, keeping your desk uncluttered, for example. So, for example, we've got a standing desk where, one thing I like to do, for example, is I like to actually start my day in one position. So, for example, standing up for part of the day and then going to, sitting down as well at certain points. So that's really important if you're going to be doing some streaming.
Absolutely.
And let me go ahead and just show this to everybody.
It's something that I want to do. I need to change my desk as well to make some live shows standing.
And the other thing also that you can do here, if you get a standing desk, for example, it does, you don't have to like if you can see on this desk, one thing they have, they've got the monitors, they're actually just not on the desk. They're actually adjustable. They're being attached by an arm, which we'll talk about here in a few minutes. But the key thing is, making your workspace organized. So, for example, if you're live streaming, making sure, for example, that, you have actual space to work. Don't just clutter it up with equipment and paper and all that other stuff. Instead, just make it a very functional environment. So, for example, having just kind of thinking about when you're sitting at your desk and you're live streaming, for example, how much do I need to turn this way or this way or this way for a monitor, for example, making sure you have the optimal setup for what you're doing. So for example, starting with that desk and then building off of there. I think I'd even move into, Marco, if you want to do me a favor, do you want to bring up that forging mount dual monitor arm?
I will. Let me.
Yeah, and Jimmy, love the point there. Don't buy a cheap chair. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. Yeah. You don't have to go and spend. Chairs can be expensive. They can be $1,000 or more. However, by the way, disappointed. Yeah, we'd love it if you followed us. Actually, that would be great.
Absolutely.
So one thing I want to mention, so for example, not getting a cheap chair, for example, because you're going to be sitting in that chair, and you'll notice this if you buy say you get a metal folding chair, or say you get a dining room chair that you have sitting around, part of it is they're not really designed to be sat in for long stretches. And so if you are live streaming, you got to be comfortable. You want to make sure you have a chair that fits that you want to actually sit and work at. So that's the first thing. Next thing, obviously, we talked about a desk, making sure you get a desk that's not wobbly because, for example, you're putting $1,000 laptop or more on your desk, not to mention your camera and your audio and all the other stuff. You don't want that desk to potentially tip over. So you want to get something that, is a permanent base for you to work from, and then the other thing also I think super important is, for example, is making sure, your environment works for you. So for example, this is a monitor that Marco pulled up, and this is a dual monitor. And actually what I really like about this is it actually stacks. And so the great thing about this is, you may need, you have to look at this. When you're live streaming, you want to be in the live stream. You don't want to be over here looking off to the side Instead, you want to be focused on your camera, wherever your camera is placed, and looking into your lens. So your audience, it's almost like you're peering into your audience's eyes. So, for example, I really like this monitor because it does, or this dual stand, because basically what it does is it allows me to stack my monitors, and then I can tilt adjust them. So like I can go up, and I can tilt one down, and then one up. So, so that's like highly recommended for something like that. And there's so many different types of monitor stands, by the way. Like you can go with the one that Marco is showing here. There's also some other ones as well that are like adjustable monitor arms. So for example, it's this kind of monitor arm. And then like, for example, that's what I'm using right now. I have a single monitor arm, a dual monitor arm. And then I can move the monitors or angle them in however I need them. So I recommend using something like that. The other reason, why is this important, Marco, to use a monitor arm, for example, versus sitting the monitor on the desk?
Well, this will release some space in the desk, which is good to make things neat and clean.
Yeah.
And will avoid, because there's something that I need to manage as well, because otherwise, and then it's easier, for instance, to put the monitors in the right place, because other thing is because some of us are taller, some of us are a little smaller, and with this kind of stance, it's easier to set the right height to the right position to the monitors, because that's a struggle.
Definitely, yeah, no, and and part of it also is this: like if you're working on, like how you can like. The biggest challenge that people have when they buy a monitor is, they put that monitor directly on their desk. And here's the problem. Most of the time, you're going to be looking down at the monitor like this. And so the great thing about this is it does get it at eye level. So it raises it up off your desk, and you can move it up, and you can do some adjusting with your monitors. In some cases, for example, some people like to organize their screen certain ways. So they have one screen might have, for example, your monitor, and the other one might have the program screen. So like what the scenes look like before they go live. The other thing also that's really important about this is these also actually allow you to rotate your monitor. So I really like using these kinds of monitor stands for this kind of purpose, because they help me keep the desk clean, and they also make it easy for me to also make sure my monitor's at the right height, because then that way I can actually look like I'm actually looking into my audience's eyes. Okay, Marco. So that's how I can organize my desk and get my stuff off of the desk, right? Like the monitor. What else is important when talking about when we talk about organizing your studio?
One of the things I like, we can talk, is tripods to put the cameras or microphones, for instance, or a cell phone, for instance, because some people they like to use the cell phone as a webcam. So that's a good option to have a stand, and this mount stand to put it's the same thing as the monitors. For instance, now I'm using a tripod to put my webcam, but using this kind of mount stand, it's also a good option to put webcams and this kind of things, or DSLR cameras, mirrorless.
So which item is this, by the way, that you're talking about?
It's the mount stand that let me bring to the screen because this will be easier to show to people. There you go.
Yeah, so this is the mount that Marco's talking about. And basically what this is doing is, it's helping you organize your smartphone, get it a little bit higher, obviously, on the on your desk, for example. But then the other thing this is also doing is, again, it's helping you get that camera right in line with where you actually want it to be.
Absolutely. And the good thing about this screw, it's standard measure. I don't know which measure is, but it's standard. So you can put here your cell phone with a mount. You can put a DSLR camera, mirrorless, a light ring, So LED lights, for instance, if you want. So this is something that you can use in so many ways.
Yeah.
And also the head turns around, okay,
so it swivels,
90
okay.
degrees.
Yeah. Okay.
And 360. So it's a very good option, and it stretches a lot.
Yeah, no, that's a super important thing to pull up. By the way, another thing also, if you could do me a favor, can you bring this up? It's the Elgato Master Mount as well. Can you actually bring that product up?
I can, for sure.
And so what I want to do here is so for example, we've got the stand that Marco mentioned about, being able to put a camera on your desk and make it height adjustable, for example. The other thing I also really like is I like this product. This is the Master Mount from Elgato. And this is a fantastic alternative. This is actually what I'm using right now. Mm-hmm. This is the Elgato Master Mount. Basically, what this does is it allows you to obviously control height. It's height adjustable, but then it can also move out towards you. So, for example, it doesn't telescope out, but it has almost like some kind of little notches in it. So, like it comes out like this, and so like you could actually then it's got a ball head, so you could rotate the camera down, for example, if you want to, and shoot down on your desk. You can also rotate the camera backwards, and then do the height adjustable, or if you want to like take a different angle, you can use that ball head to do that. And this can clamp to your desk. It can also just sit on your desk as well. There's a base plate that they sell.
Yes. I was about to highlight that.
Yeah. And I have one of those, and it's super flexible. I'm going to use David Utech-Pia's comment here. It looks very flexible. Yeah, absolutely. It's super flexible. They make actually two of them. I think this is the small one I'm using right now. And there's a larger one that does come out. It's something that I do trust putting a camera on. That's another thing. It's super sturdy. And I think is this $50? I think. Yeah, it's $50.
Yes. $50.
Yeah. And you can mount it or you can put it on a stand. So it's a fantastic product. Elgato, we always talk about them, especially in live streaming terms.
Yeah, absolutely.
They make really good products. So
absolutely.
The only other thing I can do with this, by the way, I can move my camera just a little bit here. I'll move it. I'm going to just show you guys this. So I can move my my camera just a little bit. So I can either raise it up. So it's a bar, and then you can either raise it, telescope up or down. It can also, it's got a ball head, so it will rotate forward or backward or shoot straight down. And then the other thing it can also do is it does swivel a little bit. So for example, if I want to move it, if I have it loosened, actually, I can move it left or right, really just swiveling it pretty quickly. So it's a fantastic product. I mean, that's exactly what I'm using right now. So the benefit here is that this gets my camera off my desk, and it also allows flexibility. So it helps me be organized when I'm streaming, because I don't have to worry about like knocking my camera over, because it's literally on top of this mount. It's not going anywhere. So, okay, Marco, what else is key for organizing your home studio for live streaming? I mean, we talked about, making sure you got a proper desk. It's not wobbly. You got a good chair. You have various ways to mount your camera or your monitor, things that you're always going to be looking at when you're live streaming. What's next?
I will, because I'm loving the look they have, the cable management tools.
Yes, cable
because
management,
I think
right?
Really important.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, your desk will look like a spider web.
Yeah, and so let's talk about. You know what? Actually, before we talk about cable management, let's do this. Let's talk about adjustable laptop stands.
Okay, perfect.
And you tell me whichever one you want to bring up. The reason I say this, because I do this before cable management, because an adjustable laptop stand is essentially a stand that's going to go on your desk, and then it can, like, you can actually hide stuff underneath it. Not that I'd recommend doing that, but you could put cables underneath it. You can use it to give your laptop a little bit height. So for example, if you're live streaming and you notice like, hey, there's a lot of heat coming off of my laptop, having that stand will actually can help elevate your laptop and help keep it a little bit cool. So what do we have here, Marco?
Huano adjustable laptop stand for desks. This is very well. One of the things, it's the solid construction. We can see these here.
Yeah, I would feel. I'll say this: I would feel comfortable putting my laptop on this. because for starters, it looks like it's obviously very well made. The other thing also this thing does is if you're somebody who doesn't have a standing desk and you've just got a regular table or an old desk, a previous desk that, obviously you're not going to move it around because it's super heavy, you could put this on your desk and you could essentially have a standing desk just because you'd be able to lower this and then you'd be able to raise it up when you actually need to. But I like this product as well. I mean, currently I'm actually using a bunch of laptop boxes on my desk to give me some height on my laptop. However, this is a great product because it does fold down, so you can use it in the stationary position, or you can just move it up to bring it up during the day, for example. It's almost like a cue when you're live streaming, for example, to kind of remind you to get up, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And it's some deal.
Okay. Yeah. There's a $5 off coupon, right? So it's about $25 with the coupon.
No, I think it's $10 or $9.90.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you can get an extra coupon.
Nice.
At the end. So
yes. Yeah. So you save $10. So you're saving 25%, and there's another $5 off coupon. So it ends up being about $25. Height adjustable desk, ergonomic as well. So there's 9 ergonomic adjustable angles. And it's durable. It can hold up to a 15.6 inch laptop. And again, the other thing also it's going to do is it's going to help you get your laptop off your desk a little bit. So that way you can actually put it the right height that you need to put it at. So when you're streaming, for example, and we're going to talk like carpal tunnel, things like that, somebody who's over there, constantly on their laptop in this position, you're going to potentially end up with wrist pain. Yeah, so you need to make sure you pay attention to that. And so having the desk at the right height, for example, in this case, or the stand, getting your laptop at the right height can help reduce the carpal tunnel that could develop.
Absolutely.
So love that product. So, okay. So that's some ways to get your stuff off your desk. Now, yes. The other things and there's a few other items in the carousel, but I know cable management is key, but we're not going to get there yet, right? The other thing I want to do, so we talked about a stand for your laptop. The other thing you need to get is a stand for your microphone.
Okay, perfect.
And, for something like that, I mean, there's various types of stands you can get for your microphones. For example, I'm using a boom arm right now. This essentially clamps to my desk. The only downside is that for the most part, it's going to be in the shot in some way. So it's literally right here. And so this takes up a lot of space. For those of you who want something that is, fairly portable and easy to move around, I'd recommend checking out a mic stand. And it's a heavy base. You put your mic on it. I have one of these as well that I use. And this one actually is unique because, for example, most mic stands, they go up and they go down, and then you have to move yourself or you have to move the mic towards you. However, with this one, it has a telescoping arm. So it does tilt. Basically, when you pull the arm, it tilts the mic down. And so then you can get it right in front of your face. This is a $15 mic stand. It's height adjustable. Very, very, it's not going to be something you're going to really travel with, I'd say. I think it's a little too heavy for traveling, but it's a very heavy base. And the thing is, you want this sort of thing because a lot of people, what they'll do is, you don't want to be trying to hold the mic and sing and talk into the mic, right? You don't want to be doing that. You want to get your equipment off your desk, but you want to keep it easy to use and organized. So for example, if it's on the stand, it has one space. It gives you more space on your desk.
Absolutely.
So now that I've got like my mic and I got my monitor mounted to my desk. I got my laptop up on a stand. I got my mic on a stand. My camera is on a stand. So most things are on a stand. How do I keep all this organized? Because there's a lot of cables here, right, Marco?
Yeah. Tell me. And sometimes it's really hard to manage everything. And I'm loving what I'm seeing here.
What is this?
It's Urifox.
Yes, this is cable management, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about why is cable management important for live streaming?
Well, because we have so many cables in the desk. For instance, I have 4 different cameras in my
Yeah.
in my desk. I have lights. I have the stream deck. I have microphones. I have speakers. And if I leave the cables there, it will become like kind of a spider web here, and it will become a mess to look at my desk. And the other problem is sometimes you want to disconnect a cable, you want to disconnect a webcam, and you're disconnecting a microphone, because sometimes it's not easy to tell which cable does what and it's connected to what. So I love this thing I'm seeing in front of me, because it allows us to see what this cable is, and to whom this cable belongs.
Nope, absolutely. Yeah, no, I think it's super important. And then the other thing also that's really important about cable management is that, well, when you're doing cable management, you want to make sure like you try to group all your cables together best you can.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what a lot of people will do is, what a lot of people do with cables is like they'll just kind of throw them everywhere. And so the benefit to having like cable management is that it makes it easier for you to work. So what a lot of people will do is, like they'll have cables kind of all over the place. And so it makes it easy. It helps eliminate feedback, for example, if you're on your live streams. That's the first thing. And then the next thing that I think is like super important with cable management is that it makes for a clean work environment, right, Marco?
Absolutely. And the problem, and this will help you with that as well. It's almost all of the cables are black. So
Yes.
it's very sometimes it's very hard to find the right cable to disconnect or to connect. So, and this also reinforces the connection, because it's another problem. Sometimes the cables from moving, so they broke, and with this, it's a reinforcement you have to your cables.
Absolutely, yeah. And so that's an option, obviously, that's super important. Are there any other cable management recommendations you would make?
Yes, we have this new design premium. Let me bring it to the screen. There you go.
Yeah, so this is another option for doing cable management. And here's the thing: I don't think a lot of people like pay enough attention to cable management. Cable management's one of those things where, like, I mean, personally, I like doing it. I like just getting everything nice and clean. So this way, for example, I go to pull something out, I don't have to undo 10 wires just to find that one wire that I need. I also think that it also helps a little bit in terms of making you feel like, you know what, when I get up and I need to walk over things, I'm not going to trip over all the cables that are possibly there. Cable management, I think it's an area where a lot of people don't spend enough time. But a couple of things to highlight about this particular type of cable. So for example, like the first thing is, this is actually, and this is how simple this stuff is. You literally take the cables and you wrap it around the set of cables that you actually want to hold in place. And you don't have to do it all over the whole thing. You could just actually put a little bit here and a little bit here and a little bit here. And then you basically are creating that structure for your cable management. And then that way, for example, I could have my monitors all routed to one area. I could have my audio routed to one area. I could have my video routed to one area. And this is important. And this is important because when your cables, for example, are routed correctly, you're going to eliminate feedback that can happen just by having the wrong cable crossed over one another. So that's super important. The other thing also that's really important in terms of your cables as well. I mean, I don't know about you, Marco, but it's expensive to replace cables, isn't it?
A little bit, yes.
I mean, some cables are like $30, $40, like just for one little cable.
Absolutely.
So,
yes.
Yeah, I mean, I would strongly recommend, taking care of like your cable management. What else is important, by the way, in terms of like why, what are some other reasons why I should organize my cables, Marco?
Well, because, and I talk, for instance, I have cables down my desk, and if they are not well managed, maybe when I stretch my legs and I have long legs, I may do something bad to my life. Maybe I can just make my camera to go down, for instance. Okay,
Yeah.
and this could be not so good to our show.
Right.
And it's good to have these things away from possible accidents.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. No, you make a lot of sense. Yeah, I mean, and that's like super important. If you have, for example, if you have a standing desk, for example, and you're going to be moving these things up and down, you want to make sure the cables don't get caught on top of things.
Yeah.
So in this case, like, yeah, it's super important. And this one, for example, this is actually a nice set because it includes the sleeves that go around your cables, but then it also includes these nice handy dongles, or sorry, these nice little attachments that you stick on the top of your desk. Or I stick them underneath my desk. And what I do is I then route my cables how I want them to go. And then that way I don't have to worry about, well, which cable am I working with? I literally run the cable and then it plugs into one place. I think it's like super important because it's going to definitely help you not having to replace those, but then also not having to worry about tripping on the cables, for example.
Absolutely. I like that too. And I have them there under my desk.
Yeah, no, definitely super important. In terms of also, Marco, like, okay, so what else is important in terms of like getting more organized with your live streams?
Well, let me see where they are. The shelves.
Yes, got to get the shelves, right?
Okay, maybe.
So we talked monitors. We talked about like getting everything on your desk, getting it nice and organized, getting it clean. What else do we got?
Okay, we have this shelf, the Yacht Home. Let me see.
The Yita Home, is this the 3-tiered shelf?
Yes.
It's like $85, I think. Yes. So here's the thing. If you happen to have a lot of leftover gear, or you have a lot of gear that you want to, maybe you want some of your gear present on your live streams, consider putting up some shelves behind you. For example, this helps, like, this also can be used to help create a background or a backdrop. Like if you want to go to launcher.live/EP64, that'll actually take you to the last Amazon Live and podcast episode we did on this particular idea of backgrounds and backdrops. So we talked about some of these products as well. But the thing is, what this does basically is it allows you some storage. So for example, if it's a functional item, maybe it's cameras, for example, or lenses, and you're talking about cameras and lenses or photography or live streaming, you could put it on your shelf. And then that way you just take it down. It's nice and organized all the time. And it also becomes a set piece. So that's an option. Now, the other thing also, Marco, I think we should bring up as well. Let's bring up these TomCare cube storage. So for those of you who are also, if you don't have a wall to mount your shelves on, there's other ways that you can also get some organization, but also add a functional piece to your live streams. And so what we have next is actually we have this TomCare cube storage, and this is something that's going to go behind you, right, Marco?
Yes.
And then how does this going to work? What's this going to do? How's it going to help me?
Well, in two ways. First, it will help you to store things. And the other, you can put some decorative elements to bring more customization to your live shows.
Yeah. So, yeah. And so here's the thing. I mean, the great thing about this is something that goes behind you. So for example, you may be in an area, some people are in places where they're streaming and they're not able to like modify the room, for example. And so what they can do here is they could put these behind them and they become set pieces. So they become a way for them to also, clean up their studio. For example, you don't want to have piles of paper behind you. You want to put some things in those boxes, in this case, those cubes. And so they can become set pieces. For example, I even have some little squares that actually fit in the boxes. And then that way I can actually have a design. So I basically put them in the box, slide the little box in the hole there. And now I have a nice clean surface.
Yeah, and you can put it in so many different ways.
Yeah.
as you can see here.
Yeah, you can basically build. You could build a vertical, like you could get two of these and put almost like bookshelves on your side. You can build ones that are only like 2 levels high. So there's lots of options here for you in terms of, helping you with your organization for your live stream. And what I would do with something like this is where I would throw my gear. Like for example, if I've got extra gear sitting around, something I'd pull things out that I'm going to use very often. And so I'd want to put them in there. This way I can go and get them versus, having it just kind of like just having stuff all over the place. I'd have a specific basket for everything. So very cool, Marco. Okay. So so what are some other things I need to know about organizing my live streams or my studio at least, Marco?
Okay. Maybe these backdrops as well to bring, again, more customization and personality to your live shows. I don't know if you want to bring an item, for instance.
Yeah, let's actually. So for those of you who for example, if you don't have the ability to put in like shelves behind you or stands where you can then hide some stuff in those stands. The other thing you have to kind of look at is, if you really just need to organize your live streams, I think the best way to do it would be just to throw up a backdrop, right, Marco?
Yes.
And I know we've got quite a few options there. I mean, we have let me see if I could find one. See if you can find one, Marco, for me.
Maybe this on air, the first item in the carousel, because I like this retro look.
Yeah. So if you are live streaming and you do, well, just kind of taking this aside here. So for example, if Marco wants to organize his background, make it look nice, he may throw up something like this on his wall behind him. The other option he can also do, by the way, is, for example, I've got a backdrop. This is a vinyl backdrop. I'll just touch it real quick for you. There you go. And so what that does is it's a way to also hide or make your space look nicer than it actually really is. Fortunately, there's nothing behind there. It's just a wall. But you can customize your live stream space, your studio, and make it more comfortable as well. So you got this option. You got a lot of other options as well, right, Marco?
Yes. I love this lava lamp.
Yeah, you got if you want to customize, you could do a lava lamp.
And also these LED lights, I think could be a nice option.
Yeah, do me a favor. So, let's bring up some of those. Yeah.
Okay. I think last week you didn't talk about this one, so let's bring them.
Sure.
By the way, I bought today some LED lights.
Yeah, nice.
Some stripes. So
yeah, for those of you who want to organize your live stream studio, make them look a lot nicer. For example, you want to have it look. Let's just say you happen to have a lot of stuff behind you. One thing you could also do is you can use these kinds of LED lights. For example, you can throw them behind you or throw them at different angles in your office, and they can create for example, maybe you don't put them on all the stuff behind you, but you can actually use it as a set piece to make you appear more organized than you really are. So that's a possibility.
Absolutely.
Yeah. These are, how much are these, Marco?
$70.
$70. Yep. So that is an option if you want to go from a lighting perspective and you want to improve your lighting, but also use it as a set piece. So if you've got a lot of stuff behind you and you're like, you know what, I don't have anywhere to put it. Let's turn off the lights so the lights aren't cast on those things. If you don't have the shelves or the storage, and then you can at least make it part of your set for your live stream studio, so that's kind of out of the way, but also still functional. So kind of like you have here. I mean, you've got all this stuff on the background. For example, let's say you had a whole bunch of papers and books, and you wanted to display them. Instead of actually casting that light on them, you could put the focus of the light on this center object while letting the stuff in the background actually be there. By the way, I'm going to look up. Somebody's actually recommend we check out the ADV Pro. Actually, let me see what that looks like. Yeah, so the ADV Pro, that's another option as well. You could use that. Thanks for sharing that one, Jimmy. We really appreciate that. Let me see what we got here. Yeah, there's an on-air sign. Actually, it's a neon on-air sign. So very cool, Jimmy. That one's actually a good option. So very nice. What else do we have in terms of, is there anything else we need to consider, Marco, when we're doing our live streams, like or setting up our live streams?
Well, we see here some books, I think.
Yes. Yeah, I did. And you know what I want to do? I want to end with this one. So for those of you who if you struggle with getting organized in your live stream studio, one thing I would strongly encourage you to do is to read actually a couple of books. And these are very good books. Feel free to bring these up, Marco, and we'll talk about them real quick. So
which one do you want to talk about both? Yeah,
let's talk about both of them real quick. So the first one is called Effortless. And this is by I think Greg McKeown, actually. A pretty famous author, actually. He wrote a book called Essentialism, The One Thing. And so, he wrote this book, and this is about, and this plays into live streaming. Okay. So Make It Easier to Do What Matters Most by Greg McKeown. And the thing I want to highlight here is the fact that when you are live streaming, one thing you got to make sure you keep in mind is that you are constantly, when you're live streaming, you want to make sure that you make it easy on yourself. So for example, if you've got piles of gear and you got stuff sitting around your office or your studio and it's just collecting dust, the thing is you want to make it easy for you to live stream. So if you got all this stuff sitting around and you're like, I've seen so many setups before where like, people don't have a lot of space to work with, but they put too much stuff in that one space they do have to work off of. It makes for a stressful environment where like, oh, I barely hit that table and oh, everything moves, for example. So, his book is about making it easier to do what matters most. And so in your case, like if you're going to be live streaming, if you're a producer or you're live streaming for your own business, you want to make sure that it is easy for you to do what you love. So for example, if you're live streaming, you want to make sure that you have the right setup to make your setup comfortable. So for example, let's say you're a live streamer and you're talking about arts and crafts and you're giving demos of how those products work. We showed you the master mount, for example, and that's a way for you to get your camera in the right position and still be able to do what you love without having to, well, hold on, I got to move this out of the way and I got to move that. You're setting yourself up for success by being organized and ready to go with your live streams and being able to demo this sort of stuff in the right manner. For example, there's a top-down view that you'll see when live streaming. That works great, for example, if you're doing arts and crafts or you need to show people stuff, like what's on your desk or what you're doing, say you're building something. However, if you're just doing an interview like Marco and I are doing right now, it doesn't really matter if I have that top-down approach. So I want to make sure I have the right equipment to help, make producing my live streams a lot easier. Now, the other book I want to make sure we also highlight is it's the Marie Kondo book. And this is Marie Kondo. If you don't know who she is, so she's got this book. It's called The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up. And so, for example, if you're somebody who struggles with getting organized in your own personal life, that is often a reflection on everything else that you do as well. So, for example, if I'm over there and I'm like, I have a messy like bedroom, for example, or my house is a mess, my studio is probably also going to be a mess, right? And we're not saying, oh, everything has to be perfect, but it brings about less stress when you can make it that way. And so this book basically goes over, I won't tell you everything about it, but it goes over, cleaning up, for example, like going through, for example, that stack of gear that you've got collecting dust in the corner, sitting in a closet, right? And helping you actually breathe more life into something, and so when you are doing live streaming and you need to get more organized, I'd recommend even starting with some of those books. They're great options if you need to organize your home studio. They're going to help you, for example, I don't know how many of you have ever gone through your cables and you have it's I think a display display port to like HDMI or something like that. They come with like most monitors you buy. I got a whole box of those things, or I got a whole box of headphones, for example, that I don't use, or stuff that may be broken, or stuff that, that I just don't use anymore, right? Why let it take up clutter in your live streaming studio when, you can just go through it and get rid of some of the stuff that you don't need. So I want to encourage you to go check that out. It's definitely something worth doing. It's going to help you save you a lot of time. It's also something that's going to actually help you in terms of, making sure that you're comfortable when you're live streaming, because you want to be comfortable on your live streams. So, Marco, is there anything else you want to add, by the way?
No, I think we covered every everything on the organization topic.
Definitely, yeah. And so, live streaming is one of those things where, you want to make sure you are, that you spend the time setting yourself up for success. I mean, it's easy to produce. It's much easier when you don't have to deal with, cables that are all over the place, or, having to constantly fiddle with your monitor or your camera because, you don't have the right tripod, or you don't have the right way to mount it to your desk, and I don't know about you, but I don't like buying something and then having it get broken because of an accident happening to it. Right. So, I'd encourage you to check out some of the products that we talked about, because obviously, I mean, if you've got a messy office, a messy environment, that's going to spill over into the work that you do as well. So make sure, that your area is comfortable, but make sure that it's also clean and functional as well. So
absolutely.
With that, I want to thank everybody, for joining us for this episode. This is the Amazon Live version, as well as the podcast of Launch Your Live, episode 65, where we've discussed tips to help you organize your live stream studio. I want to encourage you all, by the way, to go follow us. And I want to make sure I highlight a couple of quick points here, real quick, from Jemmy, who was tuning in. He said, science is knowing to paint your walls with natural colors. So suggesting for example, if you want a welcoming environment when live streaming, first thing is don't make the colors dark, paint them with, natural colors, for example. And then bright colors, for example, he said, also trigger stress. So make sure, you spend the time, like look through magazines, for example, like when you see a setup of something, what's the emotion you trigger when you see, for example, a room in a magazine, for example? Is it, hey, that's actually really comfortable? Or when you go to different places, are there certain colors that trigger less stress for you? So with that, I want to thank everybody for tuning in for this
thank you
episode. Yes. Of episode 65 of the Launch Your Live podcast. Again, we discussed organizing your live stream studio. Remember, for more information on this particular episode, all you got to do is go to launchyour.live/EP65. We'll see you all on a future episode. Thanks a lot for tuning in, everyone. Bye.
We appreciate you joining us for this episode of the Launch Your Live podcast. Be sure to rate, review, and subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast platform. Also, visit launchyour.live for more resources based on today's topic, as well as access to even more episodes that will help you level up your live videos. That's launchyour.live. So until next time, keep going live.